At a charity event, a journalist suddenly approached Tiffany Trump with tough questions, but no one expected her younger brother Barron to take the spotlight and handle the situation with grace. The crystal ballroom at the Belmont mansion sparkled like tiny stars, creating a stunning scene of luxury. The room was filled with polite laughter and the sound of clinking champagne glasses as important guests mingled at beautifully decorated tables. The event was meant to raise money for the education of underprivileged children, but for some, it was also about the glamorous atmosphere. Tiffany Trump, wearing a gorgeous emerald green gown, stood in a corner, chatting with a small group. Her calm and friendly nature made her different from her siblings. As the daughter of a highly debated public figure, she was used to being watched closely. But tonight, she seemed relaxed, until an unexpected guest arrived. Through the crowd came Neil Parker, a journalist known for his bold questions. A journalist known for his provocative interviews and relentless pursuit of headlines, Neil Parker's presence at the event raised eyebrows, as he wasn't exactly known for his interest in charitable causes. Moving with the calculated confidence of someone who had rehearsed his steps, he weaved through the crowd, his sights locked on Tiffany. "Miss Trump," he called out, his voice cutting through the hum of conversation, turning heads as he approached. His smile didn't reach his eyes, and a tension filled the air that hadn't been there moments before. Tiffany's expression faltered for just a second before she greeted him politely. "Mr. Parker, what a surprise. I didn't realize you'd be covering tonight's event." "Oh, I'm not here for the event," he replied, his tone light, but carrying an unmistakable edge. "I was hoping to ask you a few questions about recent family matters." The friendly chatter around them began to fade as curious ears perked up, and Neil wasted no time, launching into pointed questions. Neil Parker's questions quickly shifted to her father's political legacy and the controversies surrounding the Trump family. But they weren't just questions. They were carefully set traps meant to provoke a misstep. Tiffany's smile thinned, yet she remained composed. "I think tonight should be about the children we're here to support," she said, her voice steady but cautious. Neil, undeterred, pressed on. "Surely, Miss Trump, you can appreciate the public's right to know. After all, your family has had a significant impact on this nation. Don't you think it's fair to address the allegations?" "I asked you a question," Barron said evenly. "Why are you badgering my sister at an event meant to help kids? Seems a bit out of place, don't you think?" A few chuckles rippled through the crowd, but Neil quickly regained his composure, unfazed by the tension. "I'm just doing my job," he said with a shrug, as if the confrontation were nothing more than a casual exchange. "The public has questions, and Miss Trump here is in a unique position to answer them." Barron tilted his head slightly, his expression unreadable. "Your job," he echoed, as though testing the words. "Funny, I thought journalists were supposed to report the truth, not twist it to fit whatever narrative gets the most clicks." A murmur spread through the crowd, and Neil's jaw tightened ever so slightly. "With all due respect, Barron," he said, his tone sharper now, "this isn't really your concern. Your sister is perfectly capable of speaking for herself." But Barron's gaze remained steady. She shouldn't have to, especially not here. This is a charity gala, not one of your ambush interviews. The room grew thick with tension as Tiffany, who had been silently observing, finally prepared to step in. The room was charged with a palpable tension, everyone standing still, unwilling to miss what would happen next. Neil hesitated, clearly unsure of how to respond to Barron's calm, unwavering stance, a position he wasn't used to being in. With an attempt at a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, Neil spoke. "You've got quite the way with words, Barron, but let's be honest, your family thrives on publicity. Surely a few questions aren't out of line." Barron's expression remained steady, but his tone had an undeniable edge. "Publicity doesn't give you the right to cross boundaries. My family's name isn't an excuse to treat us like targets." A wave of quiet nods spread through the crowd. Barron continued, his voice calm yet firm. There's a difference between asking questions and exploiting someone's personal life for a headline. Barron's voice remained firm with conviction. You walked in here tonight knowing this event wasn't about us. It's about raising money for kids who deserve a chance at a better future. And instead of using your platform to support that, you made it about stirring controversy. That's not journalism. That's opportunism. The journalist's smile faltered, and his voice grew more defensive. I'm simply holding public figures accountable, he said. Isn't that what the media is supposed to do? Barron didn't flinch. Accountability is earned through integrity, not ambush tactics. If you were serious about your role, you'd respect people's time and place, but you came here to provoke, not to report. A hushed silence fell over the room as Barron's words lingered. Tiffany, still standing nearby, looked at her younger brother with a mix of gratitude and awe. It wasn't often that he spoke so publicly, but when he did, it was clear he commanded attention. Neil took a step back, unsure of how to respond. Neil's confidence was clearly shaken, but he wasn't ready to concede. That's a lot of big talk for someone so young, he said, attempting a patronizing tone. Do you even understand how the media works? Barron didn't hesitate. I understand enough to know that when someone like you shows up at a charity event uninvited, it's not about the media. It's about making yourself the story. If you have a question for my sister, ask it the right way. Otherwise, you're just proving my point. The crowd, once silent, began to murmur again, and this time, the murmurs carried an unmistakable tone of support. Neil glanced around, clearly realizing he had lost the room, but Barron wasn't done yet. The way he leaned forward ever so slightly made it clear he was about to deliver the final blow. Neil's face was a picture of frustration, masked behind a forced smile, but it was evident he was struggling to maintain control of the situation. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, filling the room with an energy that felt like a tide shifting away from Neil. Yet Barron remained calm, his steady gaze unwavering. Since you're so eager for the spotlight, Barron began, his tone firm, but controlled, let's turn this into a teaching moment. You say you're here to hold people accountable, so let's start with you. What accountability do you have to the truth? To respect for the people in this room who came here to support a cause bigger than themselves? The air seemed to thicken as Barron's words landed, each one delivered with precision. Neil opened his mouth, ready to fire back, but Barron raised his hand slightly, signaling him to stop. The journalist hesitated, another small victory that didn't go unnoticed by the onlookers. You see, Neil, Barron continued, accountability isn't a weapon you wield against others to boost your profile. It's a standard you hold yourself to, and right now, you're failing to meet it. You set for yourself, and tonight, you failed to meet it, he said, unwavering. Instead of supporting this event, you chose to hijack it for your own gain. That's not accountability. It's selfishness. The crowd responded, a ripple of applause beginning at the back of the room and quickly spreading. Neil's face reddened, but he held on to his defiance. You're making me out to be the villain here, he retorted, his voice strained. I'm just doing my job. Barron, unfazed, tilted his head slightly, his calm yet firm expression unyielding. A job done poorly is worse than no job. At all, he responded, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. You had a choice tonight. You could have been an ally to these kids, their dreams, their futures. Instead, you chose to disrupt and divide. And for what? A headline? Neil looked around, realizing he had lost the crowd. The mood had shifted completely, murmurs of agreement and approving nods spreading through the room. Barron let the silence settle before delivering his final blow. You want to be the story, Neil? You've already made yourself one. But not the way you thought. Accountability starts by holding yourself accountable. Do better, Neil, Barron said firmly. The applause was thunderous this time, filling the room with a sense of finality. Neil, clearly outmatched, muttered something under his breath before turning to leave. His retreat was met with polite but firm disapproval from the crowd. Tiffany, standing beside her brother, reached out and gave his hand a grateful squeeze, but Barron, ever composed, didn't bask in the victory. Instead, he turned back to Tiffany, his voice soft but resolute. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, with a small smile, their quiet exchange a reminder of what the night was truly about. As Neil Parker disappeared into the crowd, the energy in the ballroom began to shift back to its original purpose. Conversations resumed, but now there was a new undertone of admiration for Barron's words and his defense of his sister. With Barron's composure and Tiffany's quiet grace, the gala's MC took the stage to announce the next round of fundraising efforts. However, the buzz surrounding what had just transpired was impossible to ignore. People approached Barron and Tiffany, offering words of support and encouragement. "You handled that so well," one woman said, her voice filled with sincerity. "It's refreshing to see young people with such strength and conviction." Others echoed similar sentiments, their praise laced with a genuine respect that left both siblings humbled. Tiffany leaned toward Barron and whispered, "You didn't have to do all that, you know." "I know," he replied, his tone soft yet resolute. "But I couldn't just stand by and let him corner you like that. Family takes care of family." The moment felt private, despite the crowd around them, a testament to the bond they shared. Barron's unexpected intervention wasn't just an act of defense, it was a declaration of loyalty, a reminder that no matter the scrutiny or pressure, family would always stand together. Their family faced, they would always have each other's backs. Meanwhile, the incident began to spread beyond the confines of the event. Attendees took to social media, sharing their accounts of the confrontation. "Witnessed something incredible tonight," one post read. "Barron Trump stood up for his sister with such poise and maturity. A master class in handling conflict." Within hours, clips of the exchange had gone viral. Some videos showed Neil's awkward retreat, while others focused on Barron's sharp remarks. Online debates erupted with hashtags like Family First and Media Ethics trending across platforms. While some criticized Barron's directness, the overwhelming sentiment was one of admiration. People were captivated by his ability to remain calm under pressure, a trait not often associated with someone his age. News outlets quickly picked up the story, framing it as a David and Goliath moment between a young man defending his family and a seasoned journalist overstepping his bounds. Discussions on morning talk shows delved into broader topics: the ethical responsibilities of the media, the impact of public scrutiny on high-profile families, and the importance of standing up for loved ones. But as the world debated and analyzed the incident, Barron and Tiffany stayed focused on what mattered most, the cause they had come to support. Together, they returned their attention to the fundraising efforts, proving that even in the face of adversity, they wouldn't let anything derail their commitment to helping others. As the gala wound down and the attendees began to leave, the atmosphere in the room was markedly different. Conversations had shifted away from the confrontation, and the focus was back on the event's noble cause, about the role of the media, the importance of family loyalty, and the power of maintaining integrity in the face of adversity. Barron and Tiffany's actions became an unexpected source of inspiration for many, transcending the initial controversy. As they continued to support the cause they believed in, their quiet strength and unwavering bond reminded people everywhere that sometimes the most powerful statement you can make isn't through words or headlines, but through how you choose to stand up for what truly matters. In the end, their focus on the children's education and their calm, resolute handling of the situation left an indelible impression, solidifying their place as role models for those who value courage, compassion, and conviction. The videos. Closing words resonated with viewers, encouraging them to reflect on their own actions in the face of injustice. As the story of Barron and Tiffany continued to ripple through social media and media outlets, it became more than just an event. It was a catalyst for meaningful conversations about standing up for what's right, regardless of the circumstances. The siblings' unwavering loyalty to one another, their commitment to what truly mattered, and their ability to maintain grace under pressure became the true takeaway. For many, it wasn't just a story about a family under the public eye. It was a reminder of the importance of ethics, respect, and the profound impact of standing by those you love when it counts most.